certainly in this
Well,
state. Other states, some states there's no checks.
Okay.
You can just buy them.
Especially if it's
You don't need a permit.
But
Well, especially if it's a private. You can do that, I think, here.
I
Right.
think firearms ID card is required everywhere, isn't it?
What's that?
I don't think so.
You're buying under firearm ID card or a rifle, an AR.
You know, Carl, I think
How
the
do you
problem
buy
is
AR?
it's one thing having a
Well,
we
have
get
your
the
firearm
ammo
ID
today.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I don't have.
So if you don't,
I show them
you know,
like
guns
in
are no big deal,
Arizona
no
or
ammo,
Texas.
right? So,
Yeah.
All you
It's
need is
hard
a
to get
local
hold of.
Right.
ID of some
Unless
sort,
you
some
manufacture
state
your own.
ID.
Yeah.
yeah.
And not
I don't have
firearm
equipment
ID
for that,
card.
so-
Yeah, it's probably
Not
difficult
in
to get
Texas
there,
or
right?
Arizona.
Yeah.
What's that?
Why did I move back to Jersey?
Yeah.
I don't know where were you living
Where
before.
were you before?
In Jersey. I
Anyway.
started in Jersey, moved to New York, came back to Jersey.
Oh, okay. Should have went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was even looking at Kentucky. That's number 6 on the list.
So Kentucky's a good
The
state.
best places to live.
What about West
firearms
Virginia?
rules.
West Virginia?
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
It's higher up there.
Was it like Montana?
It's like 20, I think, on the list.
Oh, Montana.
Tennessee is another place I was looking at. That's number 16. Arizona was number 1. It was the best place for guns.
Okay.
Arizona's pretty good. I like
Yeah.
Arizona.
Utah, pretty decent.
You know, you
no,
can buy.
actually it's not.
They
Utah
have-
is pretty high up there because
The only
With all
reason-
the Mormons?
Yeah, Mormon State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason Texas would be better than Arizona is because Texas has a lot of gun shows. A lot of gun shows.
Right.
You go in the DFW area, every weekend somewhere there's a gun show, and they're big gun shows. Some of them are huge.
So a lot of people there basically sell privately, and so they don't.
Right. Yeah, if it's
There's
a
no-
private deal, there's no requirements.
Okay. But
Other
there's,
than
but there's a number someone at one time bought. If they're selling a used, firearm. So what do you do?
Reach
You
out
wipe?
to
You just
him and find
block
out
that out, or
what are the
in other words, if there's
possibilities.
a
I don't worry about the
of
number.
me-
I don't care what
Since
the
I'm
number
still-
is. There's no
I'm still
paperwork.
working. Nobody's knocking
You
on
give
my
them the
door,
cash, they
nobody's
give you the
looking
gun.
for
Okay.
anything. All right,
if something
they
ever
cleaned
happened,
up the
they have that
house.
number, but again, it's not
Even
registered
if
to you.
I'm
I
not
understand.
going down
Not
for a
registered.
fight.
Right. That's the key.
Right.
Okay. But can you ship that? Like from
for
if you
later
No, you
on,
can't ship it.
Who knows?
Definitely
I
not. That's
still
called.
wanna have
That's
some
definitely
tools.
regulations territory.
and then
Not
if you
that I have
you can't
intention of
take it in your
using
car or
them.
truck, right? You
Yeah.
could
Of course
put
you
it-
can.
But I rather have
You can take it in a
something.
car,
Of
truck.
course. Of course.
Have it
Well,
when
as
I
long as
really
you're
need it.
as long as you're not a U.S.
Because
citizen,
when I
right?
really need it, none of
I
none
take
of
it in the
PD,
car all the time.
Call it
Okay.
whatever,
Whatever.
Will
Whatever.
be around.
You know,
Yeah.
they're going to accuse you of being a U.S. citizen no matter
I'll be
what.
on my own. As
Okay,
every
that's why I
man.
have the diplomatic.
all the time.
I'm involved with the Republic
You're on
of
your own.
Texas. I'm a foreign official.
Okay.
But
By the
I'm
way,
gonna
how
ask
many?
you, there's
What
any
does it take to
way- 'cause I
become,
had-
involved with the?
You have
They
to
were
live
on
in
the
Texas
back
for at
seat
least
of
6
my
months
car,
right
but
now.
and
months, okay.
most of it I just got
Okay.
it. Literally, like
And
day
what's the next
before,
best
I
state?
just
Probably-
got it. Friend came and dumped
Um,
me beautiful.
the
Arizona.
case and everything.
Well,
beautiful,
the Republic of Texas is the only one that I know about that is.
What's the steel? Damascus steel.
really well
knives
established.
and
Yeah.
axe.
I mean, they've been around.
And
Well, it started out in
everything handmade.
1836,
Well,
right? And
All
so
in a
it's
car
well
on the back
documented
seat.
that it existed back
All
then.
the guns
Right.
were in the trunk.
And so
All
what
my
happened
guns were
was there was some
separated.
people that figured out
So, mags
that
in the side of the bag.
in 1845
bag, I don't
the
know if I
Republic
had
of
all
Texas,
of them with
for any
individual
nation to become
locks,
part of another
but I definitely
nation, they
had
have to
them
do a treaty of
flagged.
annexation. Did I tell you about this?
No.
I'm at the shooting range.
For any
Twice a week.
nation to become part of another nation, they have to do a treaty of annexation.
I got lazy.
And the
Yeah.
Republic of Texas actually
lazy,
did do a treaty of
comfortable.
annexation and sent it to the U.S. Senate
Kept
for
them in the
approval
car.
and adoption. And they didn't.
Yeah, this
They
is not a
shelved
good
it.
state for
They
that.
did a House Joint Resolution.
Not a good state.
That's
so-
not an approval and adoption. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm gonna ask.
So
if
what
there's
they
any way
figured was that the Republic of Texas was in
I can reclaim
abeyance
them.
or
I mean,
dormancy.
every gun in the
And
bag
so all
was
they had to
done
do
less
was
than
bring it out and
$2,000.
start operating.
I don't have 300.
And so that's what they did. And we've been doing it
Blacks.
for 20 years
Yeah.
now.
Gun Wessons. CZ
Okay.
Shadow.
So we have elections.
Oh,
I'm in
oh,
the Senate.
high end.
We hold Congress.
Or higher end.
We do everything.
Right.
I said I don't need. I'd
I guess
rather
everyone wants to go to
$5,000
Tennessee,
gun.
'cause that's
That-
where,
That's just crazy.
Davy Crockett's from, right?
But
Yeah.
it took me about 1,000 rounds to break.
Yeah,
and it's a
Tennessee
Western.
is.
Yeah.
You know, I
And
think there's a lot of good people in Tennessee
I don't
too.
think it's
Yeah.
broken because because
think so,
still
too.
zero play.
Probably Kentucky and West Virginia, you know, there's a lot of,
I'm sure.
you know.
I have
I'm
10,000 rounds on
Anyways,
some. And
Let's
they still-
keep moving here.
still
Okay.
tight.
Let's keep moving. We've got a lot of territory to cover. This is where this is where that is codified. If any citizen or resident of the United States does not reside in or is not found in any United States judicial district, such citizen or resident shall be treated as residing in the District of Columbia for provisions of this 26 USC, which is taxing.
So if you don't exist there, you exist there.
Well, if they establish,
So as a diplomat, you're not residing in United States.
as a diplomat, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're not a U.S. citizen. So.
It doesn't matter because I'm a foreign official. I'm claiming to be a foreign official, and
Or if any citizen or resident of the United States.
that's right. That's right. I'm claiming to be a foreign official, and so whether they recognize it or not, I still have protection under Title 18 under the Criminal Code as internationally protected person. Anyways,
even though he's not a person.
well, if they're going to assault me with the person, then I'm an internationally protected person.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you understand the way it works is that they're assaulting you with international law anyways, just by calling you a person.
Yeah.
Because that's District of Columbia. Remember, we were just talking about this back here,
Yeah.
right here, international law rule. Okay.
Right, but
All state
once you
statutes.
confirm with them that you are who they say you are, and your zip code is this and that, and your residence is where it is, I think that's all they need, no?
Well, they don't
Treat
even
you
need
as
that.
a person.
They don't even need that, actually. All they need is my ID card, my Republic of Texas ID card, showing that I have diplomatic immunity.
Right.
Yeah, it stops at that point. Because
It
as
stops
I think they're gonna.
as a cop, when I was serving, we were told you identify a diplomat or a foreign national, and with credentials.
You might
leave them
have,
alone at that
Have a
point.
nice day.
but
Yeah, have a nice
but
day,
the
yeah.
23-year-olds today, you think they know that?
Oh yeah,
they're told.
you
They're
bet.
told. It's part of the training, because otherwise it causes an international incident, and that's not something that the countries want to deal with. So no, you're told. As a cop, you're told. They might not be told everything else that's going on.
And
but that
Right.
they will.
it's felonies. Okay,
Yeah.
remember under the code I just showed you, they mess with you. It's a felony. It's multiple felonies. So not only does it cause an international incident, that the cop's going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And so 9 times out of 10, I'll just tell them, look, you might want to check this out. Might want to call your boss or something. And when they come back and give me my card back, and I'll say, well, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a great day. I'll be real nice. There's no reason to be nasty to them.
Right.
And so, but the bottom line is that, I think this is pretty powerful. I guess we'll see. I haven't been stopped to where I needed to use it yet.
So how do we set something like this for the Republic of New Jersey?
Well, like I said, you need to get remember it says any group or faction or a group of insurgents. Okay, so it could be anybody. You could just, Republic of New Jersey Jural Assembly. You see what I'm saying?
But who made that card?
The Republic of Texas made it.
It's the group of people that have come together
They-
to
they
form
bought-
the republic.
They bought a machine.
They-
Are we talking someone in his basement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
And that
Yes.
has standing.
As long as you have that,
They have
Of course,
standing
yeah.
within each
course.
other.
because they're
But it
within
doesn't
each other,
matter
right?
whether they have standing with the government of New Jersey or
Right.
the federal government.
Doesn't
because
matter,
that
that's right.
says so.
Because that says they don't have to be recognized.
Right.
As long as you, as a group, all come together and recognize yourselves.
Now,
That's right.
do we have to keep record of minutes of
No.
meeting?
No.
of-
Again, that's none of their business.
Yeah. You're thinking of a
No,
corporation.
for our own.
Yeah.
That's up
That's
to
up
you.
to you. That's up,
That's
For,
up to you.
for the validity of.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
At some point, wouldn't you want this to be somehow, if I'm using right language, validated
That's up to you.
This is not the former Soviet Union.
That's like, think about it this way. We have God. God created we the people.
Right.
We the people created government. Government created corporations.
Right.
And in many cases, the government is the corporation. And so
And corporation created its citizens.
whatever, that's right. So, can the corporation tell we the people what to do?
No.
Can we the people tell God what to do?
No.
I tried, never worked.
That's true. And so the point being is that it's none of their concern about whether we keep minutes of our meetings or even what our meetings are, or when they are, or where they are, anything.
Or if they
The
are.
important thing that they need to understand is that we're internationally protected persons under international law, according to their own definitions.
So say, not knowingly, I made a left turn, guy flips the light behind me because there was a sign, no left turn. So it's an infraction, pulls me over, license registration, I pull my diplomatic card, and he say, what is that?
Again, you have to explain to them, and you have it, that
Right.
you're a protected person under international law, and he needs to, if he doesn't know what that is, that maybe he should talk to his supervisor, and
Now the sergeant comes to a scene and he also doesn't know what the hell is this.
All I would suggest
Yeah.
is do what I've done under my processes. I have a folder of documentation that explains everything, and I give it to them. And then they go away, read it, and come back, and they should give me the document back and say, have a nice day. You need to have something there in case
Walks them
that
through.
explains their laws to them.
Which,
So
get-
Carl, you have your
Which
own
that is.
website? You have your own website?
that's what that is. And yeah, that's basically about it. And
How did you came with
listening,
a template?
huh?
How did you came with a template for the?
For what?
Card.
The card? I don't know. They came up with it. The Republic of Texas. You know, there's a president, there's a Secretary of State, we have all sorts of, hundreds of people that are involved in the Republic of Texas, in Texas. And so it was this
Do we
card.
have any knowledge of such thing existing here? Anyone?
Not until you set it up.
No,
Yes,
the start,
It all
if you
starts
look-
with you.
It's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Think about it.
You're one of
the
the big-
Republic of Texas started up in the 90s.
Right.
And a bunch of guys got together and they said, well, this is what we have to do, and they went ahead with it.
Right. Yeah. We have to have more square dances. That's the whole thing, so you can bring the people together, right?
That's right.
They're
But
doing
also-
something now with jural assemblies. It's the Anavan rights thing,
Yeah,
but they're
Isn't
doing
there a
jural
movie
assemblies
about
Exactly.
doing them in each
something
state.
taking
Yes,
place
yes.
in
Building them up
Texas
from
or
there.
Exactly.
Jural
Arizona?
assembly, right? Yeah.
Or
that's right,
FBI?
So that would be a way of doing it.
Right. Exactly.
People coming
A lot of
together and then
agencies
create-
have been
Exactly
sent
right.
to hunt
list of
these
insurgents.
people
That's
who
right.
are hiding in a house, calling themselves.
If
you know,
you're worried about that, then why are you even here? I mean, based on that, they should be hunting us. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, they are concerned about violence. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're peaceful,
Right.
remember that statute says that the United States has to be at peace.
Right.
Right? If you're peaceful, they have nothing to say to you.
Yeah.
how they can be peaceful with something that officially does not exist.
Well, it's not them being peaceful; it's you being peaceful.
Right.
Right, the minute they are not peaceful, they're the ones in trouble.
There's a lot more of us than them. Okay. So
That's understandable.
And they fear us more than anything.
I don't
Especially as educated people
I
that
don't
work
think
close
they
together.
fear us.
Well, that's because there's enough people that are
Actually,
silent and then
Actually-
doing something.
Actually, I was at an Oath Keepers meeting in Arizona. Matter of fact, let me show you the picture. I showed it to these other guys, but I didn't show it to you.
Oath keepers.
Oath Keepers. That means
The Republic.
active duty police officers. It could be active duty military.
Yeah.
Oath Keepers, people that have a
Right.
current oath.
Right.
There's the picture that of the meeting that I went to. There was hundreds of people there. This was in Arizona. And most of them had guns.
Oh, you're in Arizona, yeah.
Arizona, yeah, right.
Right.
But, and they were talking about the same kind of stuff we're talking about. And matter of fact, I told them, I said, I love what you guys are doing. And so there's a lot of them even that are just as concerned about what's going on as we are. And
Right.
so the key is to let them know that we're not the enemy. And what they said when I was at that meeting, they were talking about Antifa and Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
okay, at these demonstrations and all that.
Yeah.
And they said that Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they're not afraid of the police.
They're terrorists.
They're not afraid of the military. They said when the Marines showed up, they all went home.
Yeah.
They said, but really what they're afraid of is places like Arizona and Texas when a bunch of people like you and me show up armed.
Right.
And the cops will even tell them that we can't protect you against those people. And chances are they'll get shot before they even do anything. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they're afraid of.
Right.
Right, so now take a look what's happening with the 17-year-old who actually,
Yes.
it's proven that he used weapon to actually possibly
himself.
defend himself, his life.
Right.
You mean talking about the knife?
Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse.
Oh.
Okay,
We had this. We had Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle, yeah.
We had this discussion the other day.
Oh. Okay.
But the point is, certainly, I'm not going to those demonstrations. I'm not interested, but there are people that are, and they do go there armed. And those are the people that when they show up, the Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they leave because they don't want to get shot.
I remember all cities, main streets would house or store people walking, civilians, armed to the teeth, waiting because it was promised that there's going to be a demonstration going through,
Right.
to which no one showed up.
That's right. That's because there was armed citizens there. And so the point is, I'm not saying that we should go to those kinds of things. I wouldn't. But I'm saying that a lot of people, like in Virginia, all those armed citizens showed up to demonstrate against with what the governor was doing. You
But
know?
for what we cannot do, this is where I see, starting next week, New York burning, Newark burning, Detroit burning, Chicago burning,
I'm not
LA
sure.
burning.
I don't know. I would say that before that started happening, there'd be a bunch of people like you and me, not that I would go, but like me, that would go there with arms
Right.
and put a stop to it.
Well, obviously we can't.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm
Right.
if anything, I'm gonna get back to Texas or Arizona, where there's lots of people, that don't. And Arizona, I love Arizona because nobody cares about the mask.
Right.
and so what my point is though, is that that's what they're concerned about. Okay, is average people showing up armed, and they'll go away. They do every time.
There, not here.
Well, if they don't go away here, it's because there's nobody here that's armed.
You can't even go out on the streets with a gun here because you'll get arrested.
Not necessarily.
I'm not even sure they have an open carry permit, do they? They have a concealed carry.
Well, I'm referring to if and when we ever get some real Americans going here. Because the five-star card he has,
Look, by their law,
it allows you to...
in my house, in my shop,
Yeah.
I can walk all day long, not just with one, two,
Right.
both left and right,
You a tough area.
within the premise,
Within your building.
within the building,
Right. Right.
not even property. Because officially, I'm not supposed to be outside of the walls of the building, although I have my property on the property
Right.
Yeah.
where I store my materials.
Right.
It's still my property,
Right.
and it's on the property.
Right.
This is your local then. You're in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Prop-
not here. I'm freehold. Say
Okay.
our north.
Okay.
Adam, my understanding
Go.
is as long as you're a naturalized U.S. citizen, as long as that's the case,
I don't have any rights. I know that.
you have to abide by their rules. And that's going to be the case every morning you wake up. And then, so the question becomes, what's your way to establish a different status that gives you what you're looking for? And every man's going to be different. Meaning not every, there's different types of status and standing for any area.
Like for instance, since you're talking about that, which I think is so important, and I wish, like I thought that's what would sort of be really focused on that kind of thing. But when you say status, basically it breaks down to black and white. Because what I'm learning is that black is the lowest status, and
It's not true.
and white is the
It's not true.
perfect.
It's
What
actually
do you mean?
in the caste system. Like,
What it-
like
what it-
there's some people refer to America as a caste system.
there's black people that call themselves white, and there's white people
Right.
that call
See,
themselves
that's what I'm
black.
talking about.
Right.
But here in America, I don't know if that would fly. Like, and
Well-
then if you did call yourself white, you're still a citizen, right?
And that's why I said earlier that who knows who was sleeping with who in the 1700s, and so you can actually claim right of blood.
Well, you know, I kind of do because okay, I know I'm the only one in the room of this complexion, but what the movement that's going on in our area of the world is that a lot of us were indigenous to America. That's my new thing, and I do believe that in my case, my mother, the West Indies would have been considered part of America, so
Sure.
I'm indigenous to America.
Right.
They say what the going thing is that your mother is the one who determined your
Matriarchy, sure.
Yes,
I understand.
So I
Must
would
have
say
been
I'm
Jewish.
indigenous to America, but then that brings into a whole thing of okay, so how you can claim indigenous, and then what do you have to do to become indigenous, and then, or like how do you express that to the corporation?
Right.
So,
Well, DNA would be the way to work it out.
Yeah.
So you would have to have a full DNA
I
trace.
disagree.
Yeah, you really
they say
don't want
that
to
thing's
share
kind
that
of a
with
sham.
anyone.
I've heard
But
that.
but all you have to do really is the statement of original
agree.
status.
Statement.
And it's in my corporate denial affidavit.
Mhm.
And all you do is you show your ancestors going
Yes,
back.
see, that's what I'm
going-
talking about. See, they say DNA is not the way because that's sort of like they're going to own your DNA, and that's going to hold a whole other thing. And they're going to put you on
Yeah, we don't
Africa.
do
You're
that.
sharing your
Against-
your
Right,
digital
right.
footprint of your DNA.
So what you do is you go back with your ancestors.
Yeah, I think what
showing that you have ancestors that were here prior to the War of Independence.
Yes.
And so then that's all that matters. Okay? Or even before the Civil War, really. But if you can show it, because there's maxims of law. There's one maxim of law that says that no civil law can violate right of blood, and there's another maxim of law that says that which is created can never be greater than that which created it.
That's why the chicken didn't come before the egg.
That's right. That's right. And so I mean, you point out those maxims of law. The problem is that under Roman law, which is what we're operating
Civil
under,
law, yeah.
under Roman law, there's a maxim that says that let he who wishes to be deceived be deceived.
Deceived, yeah.
And so they're banking on people being ignorant,
Yes.
and they're liars,
Yes.
and they're thieves,
Right.
and don't get me going.
Right.
And so that's why I said,
I threw a match in it.
that's why I
Brings
said
us the skirt.
that I wouldn't think twice. I can show ancestry prior to the War of Independence, but if someone couldn't, I wouldn't think twice if I couldn't. I wouldn't think twice about lying, because you're dealing with a bunch of thieves and pirates that are liars, and you're just trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, for instance, what I'm trying to do now is not, like, with the last census, first of all, I was debating whether I wanted to fill it out. I had 3 people come up who I never had that happen before. I'm not used to that many people showing up to get. So one person I just was told, I'm not filling that out. Leave me alone. Go away. Bye. You know. But then I decided, okay, maybe I'll fill out, but I'm not going to say that I'm black because I realize that that's the lowest. Well, what I'm learning is that it's seen as the lowest. You know, the black codes of the Jim Crow and all that stuff. Like basically, they're putting you in the lowest of this corporate construct. So I'm trying not to call myself black or African American. African American is a big, huge misnomer because it fools you. You're thinking, because I'm this color, I must be, I'm always from Africa. That's not the case. Number one.
Just call yourself white.
Yeah.
Actually,
and I thought but wouldn't that also be going into the corporation? They're both corporate entities, black and white.
There's always an option that says basically. There's always an option that says it's none of your damn business.
Right.
But I like the white one. I kind of like that because even that blows my mind. I like putting that with like.
So,
it makes sense.
but you could.
It would make
you
sense.
could. And there's nothing wrong with that because who knows who was sleeping with who in the 1700s.
Right.
And so you could say whatever you want. I always say it's none of your damn business.
Thomas Jefferson was
You know what I mean?
with one of his
Yeah, the
slaves.
white stash, you could get away with that. Me, they go to
Yeah, maybe.
Negro, what?
The thing is that they're risking a year in jail
Right.
if they're wrong.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how much stability you have in your ability to express yourself. And do you use the word defend? I forget how you say it, Glenn. Basically, the way you represent what you're
Right.
Right, like a declaration, like one of the indigenous persons that I deal with, he says, you sort of make a declaration, you have a right to be self-identified, something like that. And so you just tell them, and then you just, I guess, be prepared for them to...
Well, and again, it comes down to...
Self-determination.
It comes down to, do you know who you are? This is one of the things that I always tell people, do you know who you are? Are you going to let some bureaucrat tell you who you are?
You know how
You know what I mean?
complex that question is.
It's when you think about it, it's actually very simple. I'm the king.
Sure.
Right.
I'm the
I'll
king.
take your word for it.
I know that one, yeah.
That's right.
But see again, Glenn, it goes back to the problem of when you're not on the land, you're in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And
It's on so many levels. It's just like,
there's
they
not-
really made sure.
It gets a lot easier as you get down, as you boil it down. It's like a sauce. You boil it down.
Right.
Well, and it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets.
Right.
You know?
I mean,
You just have to use it. You got to take that plunge. You got to say it once,
Is
and
that
pretty
area
soon.
getting hot?
You can turn it down.
Not really, but
You can turn it down.
yeah, I should probably turn it down.
But I should note that when I was in the Wawa, the cop that came in, who I don't know, said hello.
Oh, really? Was he
He
with
was recognizing.
Will he have a uniform on? Or?
Yeah. The point is, they put my face up on the screen at the police precinct.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How often you there?
I don't know. Well, why? Because
So-
I've asserted my sovereignty,
Right.
and I've established my sovereignty.
Right.
Well,
I didn't just say it; I proved it and put it on their record. It's not the record for everywhere in New Jersey, but as far as this town and 2 other towns, they have been noticed.
See,
What does it say? What does it say?
I
When it's
thought I
registered?
did that with the SEC,
It's
the
my
Secure
original.
Party. I thought that's what I did. I sent something to the Secretary of Treasury, is it? And they, they sent me a receipt back saying they received it.
Right.
So I thought in New York and in they said the person I work with Sovereign Solutions. He said to send one to another, just pick another state. And I picked Georgia because my sister lives there. And he said like these 2, you're sending them a notice that you own the straw man, like you're taking the straw man.
This is
I
different
have-
from that.
I have issues with that
Yeah, I know.
because that's in international law and commercial,
Yeah.
and I try and stay out of that.
Yeah.
And now I do with this. I'm planning on using it, but again, that's as something different. But again, what they're doing is they're assaulting you with international law. I mean, these police out here are all District of Columbia police. And so the municipal corporation's a District of Columbia municipal corporation.
And the straw man
and they're operating under international law.
Right.
So when
So
you,
even if you're the beneficiary of the
When-
straw man, you still get.
when you do,
That's what it made me. It made me the
I
beneficiary.
tell them,
Or a trust.
well, the only thing that I would tell them would be, and that would be, I'll show you. This is a document we were talking about yesterday. I don't know if you remember about the money
Yeah.
and about the Paramount Trust and how I'm a beneficiary of the Paramount Trust, which being the Constitution. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
And this was, you weren't here when we were talking about this, but this is a document that I took from, it's from a conference call where there was a guy in Texas that talked about how he had got it to the point where if he has any problems, the prosecutor will come to him and say, look, if you have any trouble, you just come see me and I'll make your problem go away for you. And because he brings up the issue of the money and how, and it's the same stuff that he's using with the Form 1020, okay? But he doesn't use the Form 1020. He actually files a document in the court, and he points out the fact that you can't ask for lawful money, and if I give you Federal Reserve notes, I'm giving up my rights, and I'm accepting your jurisdiction and all sorts of stuff. And anyways, probably the best place to talk about this would be at when we're talking about the Form 1020 next week, because this is kind of very similar to it. And but so I try and stay away from international law as much as I can. I don't recognize the birth certificate. That's a fraud. If you participate in the fraud, then you can't claim fraud. And so that's why I don't talk about secured party, or that's all Uniform Commercial Code, and Uniform Commercial Code's international law. And so I never talk about that, although I will, if they force me to sign something, then I'll sign it without prejudice. And that nullifies the signature. And we're going to talk about that next week too. Okay? That's another one of my presentations. Let me just show you what we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to be talking about without prejudice, territorialism, the statement of original status, secret warfare, and protected person under international law, which is this one here, and the Form 1020 follow-up, and communist takeover, and bar members, and the Bar Treaty of 1947, which Nelson came up with that. So that's...
Got to get through this week first.
Yeah, we do. But so that's all stuff that I've never talked about before, and so that's all stuff that we'll talk about next week.
So just to make
What do
one
you have on
comment.
the plate for tomorrow?
Whatever you guys want. Okay. Yeah.
I have only 3 questions.
Okay.
That could be 3 days.
That could be 3 days. Is right.
Well, first and second will be very quick knowing. Right.
What? Huh?
I'll write them before tomorrow.
You're right. Okay, that's fine. So let's keep moving on this though.
Yeah.
We want to get through this land patent stuff. We get sidetracked.
Right.
You know, we got some good questions and stuff, and I'm not complaining, but we got a long ways to go too. And it's
Would you suggest that we hold our questions till after? Because you're right, we've been going
getting
a lot of
sidetracked.
distractions.
Getting sidetracked.
To be honest with y'all, it's hard for me to follow.
Yeah.
when there's a lot.
But we cover a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, originally Congress intended that land could not be encumbered in any way. Property taxes were originated by an act of Congress in 1861, which we already went over. The Homestead Act is a privilege for U.S. citizens. State statutes are actually U.S. statutes. We already talked about that. if you used, or the bail priest so-called courts can presume that you used Federal Reserve notes to pay for land, then it's not paid for. Okay? The best that you can do with Federal Reserve notes is discharge debt with limited liability. And so that's the little scam, you know. Federal Reserve notes and other notes constituting a part of the common currency of this country are recognized as good tender for money unless specifically objected to. So if you object to them, which I do in my order form, they can't come after me because I objected to them. I don't want Federal Reserve notes. I want gold or silver coin.
Actually, that works the other way too, because stores and places like that, they can and are refusing to accept cash in many ways these days, and you've no recourse.
Well, that's true. And I don't want to give them gold or silver coin because for $1, for something that's $1, and I give one of my silver eagles, that's paying way too much for it. You know what I mean?
No, I know that. Well, the only way that they're operating now is electronic currency.
Right.
You pay by card.
A lot of them.
Card or debit or whatever.
A lot of them.
They won't accept cash.
A lot of them. I paid cash down here at that Wawa.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Anyways, dollar, the legal currency in the United States, the unit of money consisting of 100 cents, the aggregate of specific coins which add up to $1, in the absence of qualifying words that cannot mean promissory notes, bonds, or other evidences of debt. And that's American jurisprudence.
So it's not
So-
a dollar then.
Again, $1 is, you know,
Yep.
one of these. This is $1, right there. Not this. That's not $1.
Yeah. Or the old original dollars.
Well, even
The
the
pre-60.
even
$4.
the silver certificates are not really dollars. That's a promise. It says here, cannot mean promissory notes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this is $1 right here. Only this. Banknotes constitute a large and convenient part of the currency of our country, and by common consent serve to a great extent all the purposes of coin. In themselves, they are not money, for they are not legal tender. Well, they made these ones legal tender. And yet they are a good tender unless specifically objected to as being notes merely and not money. So you can object to them. And that's one thing I always tell people as my education. When I educate people or try to educate people, when I go and present, say, oh, all I got's these IOUs. A lot of clerks, they'll laugh. They'll laugh because they'll think, well, it is an IOU. But they miss the whole point because it's not money either. Anyways, that's okay. It's part of the education. You gotta feed them milk before you can feed them meat. You know. Anyways, they subserve the purposes of money in the ordinary business of life by the mutual consent expressed or implied of the parties to a contract, and not by the binding force of any common usage. For the party to whom they may be tendered has an undoubted right to refuse accepting them as money. So that's why I don't make a big deal about it, because I'm hoping they'll take them. So I can get rid of them. Because I want to keep my coin. Banknote contracts. A banknote represents a common promissory note issued by a bank or corporation authorized to act as a bank. It is in fact a promissory note, but such notes are not, for many purposes, to be considered as mere securities for money, but are traded as money in the ordinary course and transaction of business by general consent of mankind. The forced loans of 1862 and 1863 in the form of legal tender notes were vital forces in the struggle for national supremacy. That's why they can have District of Columbia codes in New Jersey, because all they have is District of Columbia script. They formed a part of the public debt of the United States. That's U.S. Supreme Court, Juilliard versus Greenman. That's like a Civil War era case. So solution one is object to the IOUs circulating for money. And that's what essentially I do in my order form. common law, only gold or silver were legal tender. And this is a 1820 court case, but they're citing Book 2 on the Institutes and the Laws of England. That's Coke. That goes back to the 1500s. That's as old as time itself. Solution 2, if you want common law, then you must have honest measures. If you want lawful land, you must defeat the bail presumptions. If you want to be a state citizen instead of U.S. citizen slave, then you have to quit doing things that U.S. citizens do and start doing things that state citizens do. If you want to have all the rights and privileges of the land patent, then you need to bring them forward. Real property. That which consists of land and all the rights and profits arising from and annexed to the land of a permanent immovable nature. In order to make one's interest in land real estate, it must be an interest not less than the party's life, but because term of years, even for 1,000 years, perpetually renewable, is a mere personal estate. So again, estate is an interest in land. It means you don't necessarily own it, you just have an interest in it. That's why, really, when you have a mortgage, you have real estate. It's because you don't own it, you just have an interest in it. That's why, when you sell it and you get a bunch of cash, you say, I sold my house for $1 million and I got $200,000 in equity. Right? Equity. I took my equity. That's your equitable interest in the property. It's your interest. It's all you had. Real property is land and everything that's attached to the land. Real estate is real property that you have an interest in, but you don't own it. Estate is the operative word, and estate is something you have an interest in, but you do not own, like your father's estate. Title estates. A title is defined by Lord Coke to be the means whereby the owner of lands hath just possession of his property. This is the definition of title to lands only. So there's different kinds of title. Okay? So there's this, under this definition, this is actually taken from Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856 edition. But if you notice here, they're citing Coke's Littleton, and here they're citing Blackstone's commentaries. So these are all, Blackstone's commentaries are in the mid-1700s, and Coke's Littleton is the 1500s. Anyways, so point 3, a title is either good, marketable, doubtful, or bad. So there's 4 kinds of titles. Good title, marketable title, doubtful title, or bad title. And then in 5, a marketable title is one which a court of equity, remember we talked about your equity in your house, right? A marketable title is one which a court of equity considers to be so clear it will enforce its acceptance by a purchaser. Okay, so that's what a marketable title is. When you get a mortgage, then the mortgage company only accepts marketable title, and when you have a mortgage, you have an equitable interest in the property. That's why if you get involved in a foreclosure, that's why people lose all the time, and they can sit there and claim all sorts of fraud, but the problem is there's a maximum law of equity that says that you got to have clean hands. And if you're late on the mortgage payments, you don't have clean hands. And so even though you have all sorts of arguments why what you're saying is true, the court will rule against you anyways because you don't have clean hands. And the bank has clean hands because they gave you the loan or the so-called loan, and then you didn't make the payments. So the bank has clean hands. You don't have clean hands because you haven't made the payments, so you lose. That's really what it comes down to.
It boils down to the contract that you make.
Exactly.
I know because I went through that.
Yeah. And so this is another item 7 under this definition. The doctrine of marketable titles is purely equitable and of modern origin. At law, every title not bad is marketable. right? So then we go back here. You have good, marketable, doubtful, or bad. So every title not bad. So a doubtful title or marketable or good are all actually marketable. Every title not bad is marketable. At common law, doubtful titles are unknown. There, every title must be either good or bad. So then, at common law, either the title is good or bad. And that's it. And authorities, color of title, authorities hold that to render a title marketable is not only necessary that it shall be free from reasonable doubt, in other words, that a purchaser is not entitled to demand a title absolutely free from every possible suspicion. So what they're saying is that a marketable title means that it looks pretty good. They might do a title search for the last couple landowners, but they're not going to go back to the beginning. You see what I'm saying? And that's a marketable title. It's not free from every possible suspicion. They're not going to make you do a title search back to the beginning. Because, again, what it comes down to is possession's 9/10 of the law, right? If the guy that is selling you the land has owned that land for more than 7 years, and he's been on the land, then you can assume that if anything, he's got squatter's rights. So he can sell you the land. At title estates, okay, so this goes back to this one again. A bad title which conveys no property to a purchaser of a title. So remember, at common law, a title is either a good title or a bad title. A bad title conveys nothing. A title to real estate is acquired by two methods, namely by descent and by purchase. In other words, you buy it or it's handed down to you. These deeds include the ones as follows: warranty deed, quitclaim deed, sheriff's deed, trustee's deed, judicial deed, tax deed, will, or any other instrument which purportedly conveys the title. Each of these documents state that it conveys the ownership of the land. Each of these, however, is actually a color of title. And that's taken from G. Thompson, Title to Real Property, Preparation and Examination of Abstracts, Chapter 3, Section 73, page 93, 1919. So those are all warranty deed, quitclaim deed, sheriff's deed, trustee's deed, judicial deed, tax deed, will, or any other instrument that purportedly conveys title is actually a color of title. Color means an appearance, a semblance, a simulacrum as distinguished from that which is real, a prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior, concealing a lack of reality. Colorable means that which is an appearance only and not in reality what it purports to be, hence counterfeit, feigned, having the appearance of truth. Color of law, the appearance or semblance without the substance of legal right. Misuse of power possessed by virtue of state law is made possible only because the wrongdoer is clothed with authority of state is action taken under color of law. Color of title. When we say a person has a color of title, whatever that may be the meaning of the phrase, we express the idea, at least, that act has been previously done by which some title, good or bad, to a parcel of land of definite extent has been conveyed to him. There the complainant seems to have relied upon the tax deed as conveying to him the fee, and to sustain such a bill it was incumbent upon him to show that all the requirements of the law had been complied with. So this is a case called Hulls versus Bunton, and the complainant is Hulls. So what happened is, the complainant seems to have relied, that's complainant is Hulls. So Hulls went and bought some land from the tax authority. And what they're saying here is they bought some land from the tax authority and they thought they bought something. But really, the tax authorities, all they do is they give you a quitclaim deed in Texas. That's all you'll ever get is a quitclaim deed. And you really, if that tax authority, that's why I never buy foreclosures or tax sales or anything like that, because you really might not be buying anything. Because if that guy, whoever owns that land, knows what they're doing, then you bought nothing. And so I never buy because the taxing is all color of law. They don't have any authority at all. Land titles come in various forms: general warranty deed, special warranty deed, sheriff's deed, judicial deed, quitclaim deed, land patent. A general warranty deed is where the seller warrants the title to be free of all liens and encumbrances. A general warranty deed is what is generally received in order to get a mortgage before the bank will authorize the mortgage. A general warranty deed is considered marketable title. A special warranty deed is a deed where the seller will warrant the land to be free of all liens and encumbrances with some reservations. A special warranty deed is usually used when the land has been subject of a foreclosure or a tax sale. A special warranty deed is considered marketable title. A sheriff's deed is when the sheriff sells a piece of real property, and could be from a foreclosure, tax sale, or something like that. Maybe a judicial seizure. A sheriff's deed is considered marketable title. A judicial deed is when a judge orders real property sold. A judicial deed is considered marketable title. A quitclaim deed essentially says that the seller transfers his interest in a piece of real property. Property sold because of a tax sale is usually done by a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed can transfer title effectively as a general warranty deed, but a quitclaim deed may also transfer nothing. Has anybody ever heard of the Brooklyn Bridge being sold?
Yeah.
It has been on several occasions, and it's always by a quitclaim deed. If the people know what they're doing, I mean, it's still a fraud, but yeah, it's by a quitclaim deed. A quitclaim deed is a deed of conveyance operating by way of release that is intended to pass any title, interest, or claim which the grantor may have in the premises. And that goes back to the Brooklyn Bridge. A patent to land issued by the United States under authority of the law is the highest evidence of title, something upon which its holder can rely for peace and security in its possession. It is conclusive evidence of title against the United States and all the world. And that's American law, yes.
In New Jersey, we were one of the colonies, and it went from a colony to a state. There was no the United States of America on the land patent, correct?
True.
So just a point I'm making, that the colonies that didn't have it. Out west on the territories, they issued the land patent.
Well, no, actually the colonies got land patents too.
But they wouldn't say the United States of America.
No, it'd say it'd be the crown.
It would be the crown.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there could be lots of property here in New Jersey and in the original 13 colonies that has crown patents. Nothing but a patent passes a perfect and consummate title. A patent issued by the government of the United States is legal and conclusive evidence of title to the land described therein. No equitable interest, however strong to land described in such a patent, can prevail at law against the patent. Equitable interest means, mortgages.
Which is why you always want the original land patent.
That's why also that if you bring forward the land patent, you will never get a mortgage on that property. Because the bank can't seize it back.
It can be insured.
And it can't be insured, you're right. You can't get title insurance either. But that's good. Who wants it?
And you've got the title, so why would you be worrying about insuring the title?
That's true. A patent is the highest evidence of title and is conclusive against the government in all claiming under junior patents or title until it is set aside or annulled by some judicial tribunal. Issuance of a government patent granting title to land is the most accredited type of conveyance known to our law. A patent is intended to quiet title to and secure the enjoyment of the land for the patentees and their successors. Thus, as a quitclaim deed, a land patent conveys whatever interest the government has in the soil and the land. as a quitclaim deed. As we have noted in connection with the patent by the United States, the patent's effect is the same as though the United States has executed a quitclaim deed. And if you think about it, you know, who was the original owners of the land here? It was the original people. And so, and that's why I would like to get a First Nations de jure chief to grant me some BLM land, and I'll go and take possession of it, and I'll bet you they'll have a hard time getting it back. Anyways. A patent operates as a deed of the government. As a deed, its operation is that of a quitclaim. It passes only the title the government has on the date of the patent. A patent of the United States, as a deed, its operation is that of a quitclaim rather than of a conveyance of such interest as the United States possesses in the land. A land patent is the highest and best title, but at the same time it's a quitclaim deed. If the land patent is a colorable title, then what would be the true allodial title? There is nothing here requiring a deed to establish a color of title, and under the former decisions of this court, color of title may exist without a deed. In other words, squatters' rights. If you've been living on that land for 7 years, then you have to be notorious about it in their face. And but if you've been living on that land for 7 years, then you own it. The courts have ruled that the government has to settle the land claims of the original people. They're essentially saying that the government stole our land. My contact information is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. My website is sovereigntyinternational.fyi. My email address is engineerwin@yahoo.com. My YouTube profile is Sovereign Living. My Facebook community page, I deleted it due to censorship. I have a Yahoo private group that's going to get deleted next month. And I have a Google private group. There's a Crown patent. Notice it's in a box. And it's transferred. The patentee is Calgary and Edmonton Land Company Limited. This is the Santa Fe Pacific Railroad Company. That's the one that I had sitting on the table here a little while ago. And this one's actually several pages. And it's a list of townships and sections. So there's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So it's every other section in the township. And so there's a bunch of townships, a bunch of sections. I wonder how many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then 35, half of 35 is 17. So 17 times 24 sections, which is, calculator, 17 times 24, right?
Yeah.
408 sections. So that's a bunch of land. 408 sections in that one land patent. That's one of those railroad land patents where they give 10 miles to the railroad on either side of the railroad. And they always have this kind of text. And granted by these presents does give and grant unto said Santa Fe Pacific Railroad Company successor in interest to the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad Company and to its successors and assigns the tracts of land listed as aforesaid and described in the foregoing to have and to hold said tracts and the appurtenances thereof unto the said Santa Fe Pacific Railroad Company successor as aforesaid and its successors and assigns forever. So it's forever. And there's no reservation of mineral rights in these either, so that could be a lot of mineral rights that are there. And this is Woodrow Wilson, President of the United States, 2nd day of December in the year 1915. So Recent land patents are in a box. They know they have no authority. That's the Crown patent. Says the land is granted to John Smith as heirs and or assigns forever. All the Crown patents have always reserved something, mineral rights, trees, water rights, etc. But the land patents say nothing about property taxes, easements, eminent domain, zoning rules and regulations. None of them say anything about that. Sometimes they reserve mineral rights. Other than mineral rights, there are usually no reservations. In Arizona, it's water rights, access to water, canals and things like that. A usufruct is civil law, the right of enjoying a thing, the property of which is vested in another, to draw from the same all of the profit, utility, advantage which it may produce, provided it be without altering the substance of the thing. A usufruct is a type of a trust. And that's why it's called a use, actually. A usufruct. It's actually short as a use, which is a type of a trust. When you pay for land with a banknote, it is not paid for, therefore a trust is created. Eminent domain, that's why the government has eminent domain. The government sold the land. By paying for the land with their commercial paper, you gave it back. That's essentially what happens, because it's not paid for. Have you ever seen a road that goes along a straight line, and then when it comes to some guy's land, it turns and goes around the outside of the land to where it's going straight again? That's because all those landowners didn't really own the land, except the guy whose land they went around. Spanish land grants in Arizona. I know people in Arizona who've had land in their family for generations, and they do not pay property taxes and never have. I have heard of people in Canada who, when they inquire about their land, the response is that land titles has no jurisdiction. And in Canada, it's called land titles. Here, it's called the county recorder. But in Canada, it's called land titles. Federal Reserve notes, Bank of Canada notes, Bank of England notes, or IOUs, is found in the Bankster Thieves 1, 2, and 3 video. See No Such Thing as a Bank Loan video. There is a distinction between a debt discharged and one paid. When discharged, the debt still exists, though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of a discharge. These bar members lay awake at night dreaming this stuff up, you know? Evidence of your usufruct. They call it real estate. You pay a yearly rent called property taxes. They can take it away from you. If they can take it away from you, then you don't really own it. Your land has easements, utilities, roads, etc. Your land is subject to zoning rules and regulations. If you pay for land with an IOU, it creates a trust, a usufruct. The way you deal with the trust, you have to pay for the land with gold or silver coin, and you have to say it in the deed. You have to defeat their presumptions. How can you have true loyal title to the land? Bring forward all the rights and privileges of the original land patent. Pay for your land with gold or silver coin. At common law, all numbers are spelled out. In other words, it's the FIVE and not the number 5. The number 5 is an Arabic numeral and in the matrix. Legal description should be in meets and bounds. You can also say Lot 1 of Rancho subdivision, but that's not meets and bounds. A patent to the original people would trump any other patent. Now let's go back here briefly. Right here. Notice how all this stuff is spelled out. 15th, the 40th year, and yet here's the patent number, 501639. And so they know what they're doing. All this stuff is spelled out. And yet the patent number here is in the matrix. See what I'm saying? Let's see, my Sustake Trust. Yet still it was found difficult to set bounds to ecclesiastical ingenuity, for when they were driven out of their former holds, they devised a new method of conveyance. Ecclesiastical ingenuity. That's the Roman cult, folks.
Yeah.
They devised a new method of conveyance, by which the lands were granted not to themselves directly, but the nominal fees to the use of the religious houses, thus distinguishing between the possession and the use and the receiving the actual profits, while the season of the lands remained in the nominal fee, who is held by the courts of equity, then under the direction of the clergy, that's the Roman cult, folks, to be bound in conscience to assist the use for the rents and emoluments of the estate, that's taxes. And it is to these inventions that our practitioners are indebted for the introduction of uses and trusts, the foundation of modern conveyancing. And that's Tomlin's Law Dictionary, 1835 edition, volume 2, under the definition of mort main. We were looking at that earlier. Sorry?
It was 1835?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because almost everything is done these days with commercial paper, the courts presume that commercial paper was used. You can defeat their presumption by putting in the land transfer document the type of payment that was received, gold or silver coin, and you have to say it was payment in full. Check out my other videos, Bankster Thieves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 now, I think. Churchianity series, bankrupt corporate so-called governments, bar members, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do-it-yourself, how not to volunteer for the selective service in the draft. Martial law is here, do-it-yourself, no income tax, do-it-yourself, no sales tax, do-it-yourself, traffic stop, do-it-yourself, free mail. A bill of exchange. So you could, and this is actually kind of what I do, is I call it a bill of exchange when I'm transferring land. Getting close. Upon receipt of 20 each 1 troy ounce pieces of pure silver each, I do hereby grant in exchange to John Henry, House of Smith, this land, together with all the rights and privileges of original land pat number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a true copy of which is attached here too, all of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety. When you get true allodial title, you do not tell them that you purchased your land. If you purchase or bought your land, a commercial transaction took place, you tell them you converted some silver or gold to land. I've seen court cases that talk about it like that. So you didn't buy it, you converted gold or silver to it. See what I'm saying? Conversion's common law. I've seen court cases that talk about it that way. Some jurisdictions have a land transfer tax or an affidavit of property value. If you pay the tax or provide the affidavit, then you're putting your property on the tax rolls.
Right.
This is perfect because you serve on them and your instrument to be recorded by registered mail, and they will return to you saying it's not recorded, but it's in a special file. That's the non-tax-paying file.
Now this is when you don't send in that form. In other words, if you send in the deed that you rewrote and so on, and you didn't send the other 2 papers that they want you to bring in.
Yeah, don't send those in.
In other words, they're going to have to. They'll send you back. You send a registered mail. They then send it back to you, stating that there was. What if they send you everything back? They just send it all back.
Probably will. That's
So,
okay.
And they have to give.
They still keep a copy and they still put it in the file.
Okay, when you get that back, you just keep it sealed. Or,
No. I mean, I'm going to look inside to see what's there.
Well, yeah.
but,
Okay.
but they're giving me the evidence, right?
In other
Some
words,
counties, huh?
No, but at that point, then that's considered recorded.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, there'll be a court case here in a little bit, and we'll
Okay.
see it. Some counties require it to be a land title document. In Utah, when I was there, they wanted, but all I did, like an affidavit, okay? You just make it a land title document by putting this statement up in the top corner. And that's it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Meridians are a vertical line on the earth that run from pole to pole. Ranges are horizontal lines that define the top and bottom of a township. A township is 6 miles square, 36 sections. A section's 1 square mile, 640 acres, and 1 acre is 43,560 square feet. In older parts of the country, like around here, it's going to be meets and bounds with legal descriptions that run from the landmarks, like the old oak tree or the fork in the river.
Tie a yellow ribbon.
Meets and bounds legal description are common law. Every state has a base and meridian that all legal descriptions are taken from. Alberta uses the 4th meridian, which is the eastern border. Utah uses the Salt Lake Basin meridian. Arizona uses the Gila and Salt River meridian. Your local city planning department will probably be able to tell you what section your land is in and the basin meridian is taken from. An instrument is deemed in law filed at the time it is delivered to the clerk, regardless of whether the instrument is file marked. And that's a Texas court case, Biffle versus Morton Rubber Company, Inc.
Hmm.
And I think I've already talked about my other videos. The King of England held ownership of land under a different title with far greater powers than any of his subjects. And we can be the king and hold the land under far greater powers. You see what I'm saying? Though the people of England held fee simple titles to the land, the king actually owned all the land in England through his allodial title. And that's the thing, is that when you use Federal Reserve notes, then you're basically giving it back to them. That's why they can claim eminent domain. The king actually owned all the land in England through his allodial title, and though all the land was in the feudal system, none of the fee simple titles were of equal weight and dignity of the king's title, the land always remaining allodial in favor of the king. I know people who have land patents on the land and they pass it on to their family and done that for generation. They do not pay property taxes on it, and never have. They've never been contacted for property taxes. I own several parcels, Texas and Arizona, and they don't mess with me for property taxes. Now, I do own some that they do. And again, you have to pick your battle. Like I own some land in Henderson County in Texas, and also in Montague County. Those two pieces, and they do harass me for property taxes, but it's not that much. And the Henderson County one, it is. But see, that land, it's like a little teeny weeny little lot. And so I bought it on eBay, and I bought it from this judge, this Texas judge. And what happened was he said it was a quarter acre. And when I went and looked at it, it wasn't anywhere near a quarter acre. I paid $250 for it, and then I contacted him and sent him the plat map and said that this ain't a quarter acre, and he refunded my $250. So I'm out nothing,
Right.
and I'm fighting with the tax assessor, and so it's a little exercise.
It's
you know?
Betsy Teeny Weeny, right? Yeah.
That's right. So I just fight with the tax assessor because I can be a pain in their butt, and they can't take my land, and if they do, I'm not owed anything anyways, and I'll sue them.
Right.
Right? Anyways, I currently own land that is not on any tax rolls. A lot of it depends on how corrupt the local government officials are. Property taxes are a theft and a denial of due process. I helped a friend bring forward the land patent on his property in Tarrant County. The friend died. The Tarrant County thieves tried to steal his property. His family did not have any idea about land patents and had no interest in defending it. If you don't defend it, you're going to get it stolen.
Right.
The Tarrant County thieves stole his property with a tax sale. The friend's neighbor bought the property in the tax sale. This was a friend of mine by the name of Rick Bagwell, actually. The friend's neighbor, another friend, was talking to the neighbor about his purchase of the land. It was the mayor of this town that bought the land, right? And this friend of mine was talking to the mayor.
Right.
Anyways, the mayor said that because that land patent was brought forward, he couldn't get bank financing. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot.
Oh.
And he had to get a friend to finance the mortgage. He had to borrow the money from a friend, and it was like over $100,000. It was like about $160,000 bucks.
Private
like
loan,
that.
yeah.
It was some pretty good property. It was on the beach, right on this lake, and so it was a pretty good sized piece of property too. It was probably about an acre and a half, and it was right next to this mayor's place, and so you know it was a natural for him to buy it. Anyways.
Yeah.
In New York, the squatters' rights are 10 years.
Sorry?
I just looked up in New York, squatters' rights are uninterrupted 10 years. New York State.
Oh, yeah.
Squatters' rights?
According to this.
Squatters' rights.
Yes. But
And so the tenure is an uninterrupted tenure, but for how long does it say?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. So that's
I've been
the
there
law.
more than 10 years. Way more than 10
Yeah. Okay, so what is due process of law may be ascertained by an examination of those settled usages and modes of proceeding existing in the common law and statute law of England before the immigration of our ancestors. The expressions due process of law and law of the land have the same meaning. The law intended by the Constitution is the common law that had come down to us from our forefathers as it existed and was understood and administered when that instrument was framed and adopted. And so we're talking common law here. And what kind of common law? It is manifest it is not left to the legislative power to exact any process which might be devised. The due process of article is a restraint on the legislative as well as on the executive and judicial powers of the government, and cannot be so construed as to leave Congress free to make any process, due process of law by its mere will. In other words, Congress can't decide what due process is. Bring forward the land patent is always effective. Whether or not it will be recognized by local authorities depends on how corrupt they are. When you bring forward the land patent, you will not be able to get bank financing or title insurance. You can do it with a transfer of the land. You can also do it with a confirmatory instrument, and I've got one of those. It's powerful, but you're not transferring it, and so it depends on how corrupt they are as to how much you're going to have to do to defend it. Templates of both are found in the files directory of the Yahoo group, and the Yahoo group, the files directory of the Yahoo group doesn't exist anymore. Yahoo deleted it, and they're going to delete the group in December, so it's all going to be gone in December.
Now, does this mean once you have an illegal title on a piece of land that has a building, say a home or whatever, does that mean that you cannot get homeowners or insurance?
You can, if you have a loyal title, you're not going to need insurance. You can probably still get homeowners insurance because that's fire insurance.
That's what I mean.
You should be able to still get that, but
Okay.
you cannot get title insurance.
Okay, no, I understand that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And there's no confirmatory instrument here, so you're going to have to send me an email and I'll send it to you. Yeah, there's no confirmatory instrument there.
Okay.
So if you want the confirmatory instrument, you'll have to send me an email. But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. And I've always felt that I consider myself a Christian, and when I was 16 years old, I was given a patriarchal blessing, and in that blessing it said, unto whom much is given, much is expected. So I feel like I've given this gift of knowledge, and I have to share it. And so that's what I'm doing today.
Thank you. Amen.
Either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You're now a watchman. Circulate this far and wide. So that's the end of this one, anyways, of the land patents. Oh, that's one thing I was going to say. Well, I told you about the guy I met in in Wilcox, Arizona. So there's people out there that have huge tracts of land, and I'm sure they'll sell you some. You're going to have cash, and probably not a little bit, maybe, at least $100 grand, and give them gold or silver. I'm sure that they'd be glad to get the gold or silver for it.
Right.
And that's real money anyways, and to have the deed say it. And I know I've got some Bitcoin, and that's what we can talk about. Oh, that's what I was going to say. What's the price of Bitcoin? We were talking about that earlier.
I got a question. When you use the abbreviation to capital, aren't you putting yourself basically in the under the jurisdiction?
AZ, you mean, for Arizona?
Yeah, instead of spelling it out.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I always spell it
out.
Arizona.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't ever use AZ.
Right.
Actually, many of the ways I'm addressing things these days, depending on whether you want the other side to get it, is some things I've actually put Republic of or State of,
Right.
Whatever it might be.
I would,
And it puts them in a slightly different jurisdiction. But it seems to take a little longer for the mail to get there too.
Yeah.
would, you know, I wouldn't put Republic of, I'd put Texas Republic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Or
Texas Republic,
New
yeah.
Jersey Republic.
Yeah.
That's the way I would do it. But and I don't know, Nelson, is Ted going to be doing any kind of presentation here next week?
He'd be willing to. I haven't set him up.
Okay, well,
You want to do it tomorrow, or do you want to do it next week?
well, we could do it, you know, whenever. I mean, Ted is the guy that does the pre-mail, so if you guys
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
Oh,
I
Ted's
had that
coming
one
here
last
next
time,
week?
so-
Well, he's not coming here, but he's willing
Oh.
to call in and
Oh, okay.
talk to us
Okay.
if you want to. And he's got a website, so he'll show you where to go on his website and all that stuff.
Abodia, right? Yeah.
Huh?
Abodia.
Yeah, Abodia. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Has anybody here other than me and Glenn mailed any mail, the 2 cent got through?
I haven't
Right.
tried it.
Right.
I haven't needed to mail anything, so it's not really.
I've sent a lot of it with, 2 cent and 3 cent mail.
Yeah.
3 cents per half ounce.
I'm concerned about sending something that's sending registered mail for less. That's what I like to see, because that's, you know, that's a lot more money.
I've
About
done
$12
it.
last time I did a registered mail. And
I've
a single
done it.
sheet.
Even more, yeah.
Some of the clerks go and send it back to me, and I need to start filing criminal complaints against them. Anyways, right now the price of Bitcoin is $13,516.62.
Wow.
Now, what I do is I usually buy Litecoin is the one that I like to buy, and Litecoin's at $54 a coin. You can buy, like a lot of these ATMs. Let's do a search here.
I'd rather buy silver for that, silver dollars.
Well, and I'm not saying don't
Or
buy
just,
silver.
Just days ago, Bitcoin was $9,300.
No,
That much of a
No.
difference?
no, it's been a while
My-
since it was.
2 weeks.
That's a big difference.
Let's look here.
It did shoot up a little bit recently.
That's a lot, actually. Yeah.
Let's look.
It was
here.
in the low 9,000.
Yeah, I remember.
Right here.
Because I was
2
debating.
weeks.
I'm calling
Right,
2
right
weeks.
here's the live trading. This is a trading view right now. This is the live prices. It's at 13,838 right now. This is according to Coinbase. That's on Coinbase, and it's been like here's the lowest it's been, and that's 9,500. But that's
What
like
date is that?
that's August. August.
July.
And in
then it-
September.
Again went down.
It was down around 9,500 there too,
Yeah.
and so you're right. It hasn't been. But it was September 23rd, which is a little over a month ago.
Not
You're
that
right.
long.
I didn't realize that it had gone up that much in the last 30 days, roughly.
I was getting some silver, and one eye looking at what's happening around Bitcoin, talking with Bobby, what are you doing, this and that. I'm like, I'll put it in silver before that jump out too.
There he is, Rudy.
From $17 to $27.
Yeah, I wouldn't discourage anybody from buying silver because I think silver is going to be a screaming deal. If it pops, matter of fact, what I did, I sold a bunch of Litecoin so I could buy silver, and I got 4 rolls of silver, of silver eagles, that I bought, and I got them. I have there's a place in Phoenix called Mountain Vault that's a safe deposit box, but it's not a bank safe deposit box. And I use that, quite frankly.
Where are they located?
It's called Mountain Vault.
Mountain Vault.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's in Phoenix.
When did you make that purchase?
Over the last.
So 80, what are we talking, 80 coins?
Sorry?
80 coins?
They're
Is that $4?
4 rolls of silver eagles.
Right, so 20 coins in a row?
Yeah.
Well, it's okay there. It's
See,
okay.
right here's 2 of them. So I bought those on the 19th of October, and here's the other 2 on the 16th of October.
And how much were they then?
There were
Okay.
one was $1,142.
Yeah, but
The other one's $1,149.
yeah, but you're paying almost $60 a coin.
No, No.
20 coins.
There's 20
11.50?
coins.
Yeah.
20 coins
Yeah.
times,
20
that's
coins.
40 coins for 11.49. It's 2 rolls.
Oh.
Oh,
So
40.
that's for 11.49. So that's 40 coins.
less than $30.
Let's get the calculator out.
That's $30.
Lot.
49.
Roll of 20. 20 coins
Yeah.
for $1,200.
11.49
Yeah, it's less than $30. Just under 30.
okay.
$29, whatever.
$57.50 a coin.
Yeah.
divided by 40 coins
Yeah.
is 2 rolls.
Yeah, it's about.
What do you see?
20
2 rolls.
there you
I
go.
see
It's
1 roll.
$28.75 a piece.
Yeah.
I see 1 roll. Roll of
Quantity
20.
2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right there. Quantity 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's both of them were quantity 2.
So that $20 then was
So
a
it's
little over double what most silver has been trading at for months and months and months.
Right.
it's $28.72.
Yeah,
Which
it's been
is-
at about $12 or $13 for a good
Well,
long while.
back a few months ago, but
Yeah,
right now
but
silver.
Previous to that, I mean, it was
Yeah.
stable at around that price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
18, 20 if you
Right
wanted to buy
now-
older-
right
older
now,
ones, you know.
Silver is at let's see. Oh, come on.
So October 12th, just about that time, but I got in bulk, I paid 25. For 200 ounces.
Kitco. Silver. 23.64.
That's showing as of
That's
today.
trading.
Today.
You're not gonna
Yeah.
find it today for $23.
Well, if you can, it's a good deal.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking for the chart. There we go. Silver, right now. 23.63. Yeah, that's the current price. But yes, you're going to have to, like with Eagles, that's why it's 28. That's about $5 premium over top of that, because that's the mint is going to charge more because, and then the coin dealer has to make a buck.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that's a fair deal.
Right.
$28 a piece.
Mhm.
28,
It's not a bad price.
Especially,
28.72 and a half,
especially if it goes to where they're saying.
right? And it was free shipping.
Oh,
And-
okay.
They're right here. Let me show you.
Although I don't know if I would ship it to Phoenix because if that map becomes true reality,
Well, it's-
Yeah.
Phoenix is.
Yeah,
It's
you want
getting-
to click on the historical chart, see
right here,
what price it's been.
right out of a monster box.
Selling one?
Huh?
Selling one?
No, I'm not selling.
Click on the historical charts, right, to see what.
It was as far as 50s.
Which one you want to look at? 30 days, 60 days, 6 months,
Lifetime.
Go over the last couple of years. 2, 3 years.
Well,
18
yeah.
years?
5 years.
Well.
5 years is fine. 10 years.
See, near 50.
Yeah, it was up at 50. Yeah.
So the lowest would be around where? 15.
I remember being offered
On here,
counted $2 an ounce.
on here, this looks like that it dropped down when in this last March probably is what this drop is right here, and that
Yeah.
was around $12 or $13.
Wow. Big difference.
But I bought it when it was up here.
Okay.
But my attitude is that if this lady is right, then I'll be able to sell one of these rolls for like $10,000, and so then I'll be able to buy some cryptos, and so I got 4 of them. So if I sell 2 of them,
Yeah.
If this hits $800 an ounce, cryptos will be
you know, I guess we'll see. She said that gold would pop, but silver would pop a lot more. And, you know, I guess we'll see. You know, that's all I can say.
Which woman is this again?
Her name is Penny Kelly.
Penny Kelly, okay.
Yeah.
She said 800 and not 80.
No, 800.
Penny Kelly.
Let me,
I like Penny Money, huh? Penny Kelly.
yeah.
Penny Kelly.
She's a remote viewer. I went and subscribed to her Patreon because she's a pretty interesting lady. If you want to listen to the video, we got time. It's 5:15.
Your
After 6.
6.
Was it 6?
Yeah, your
Yeah, it is.
central time.
6:15. Okay, you're right.
Now, it'll be, and tomorrow that'll be the case. It'll be 20 after 5.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Because we're going on to
Right.
regular.
Good point.
Right.
I'm going to start at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Right.
Are we changing tonight or tomorrow?
Oh,
Tonight.
It's tonight at midnight, I guess, or around there.
Yeah.
is it
What,
this
fall
weekend
back,
or next
right?
weekend?
So
No,
at
it's this
midnight-
weekend. It's
At
this
I
weekend.
thought it
midnight,
was
it'll
November.
go to 11
First week
o'clock.
in November.
No, it's. I think it's tonight. I mean, you can check, but
November 1st is
Tonight,
tomorrow.
tonight,
yeah.
It's
I could
tonight.
be wrong, but I think
This
it's
week.
tonight.
Right.
this weekend.
In other words, you're going to gain it to whatever, 2 o'clock in the morning or something here, or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's 2 o'clock.
Because
and then
making
you get an
deposit
hour back.
yesterday, there was a reminder on the bank screen.
Right,
Don't
right.
forget to change
Yeah.
your...
Exactly.
Right.
They're telling us like all children,
Well,
everywhere.
Yeah, should stop
Right,
doing
so-
that, then it
I've
becomes
shown
an
up
issue.
places when I didn't know, and I was either early or late a couple of times.
Yeah, well then, good start earlier. You know.
I'd be okay with starting early.
Because it's basically the same, it's just that it's 9 instead of 10. So,
Right.
just, if you unless you won't put your
So
clock
it's
back.
up to you. Do you guys want to start at 9 tomorrow?
It's fine with me.
It's up to you.
Is that too early for you, Adam, to get back?